Football boots are getting way too expensive is a pretty common opinion you'll hear both in person as well as on the internet. And while there's some validity to the fact that I think there are more high-end options at higher prices across the board than there have ever been before, in terms of just maximum retail price, football boots are not more expensive. Just as an example, the very popular Adidas Ace 16 Plus Pure Control retailed for $300, which is $25 more than the current laceless lineup from the Adi brand. And then stuff like the Nike Mercurial Superfly 1, that retailed for $350. And then the Superfly 2 and 3, they upped it even more, bearing a retail price of $400. So are football boots the most expensive that they've ever been? Not necessarily, but we are here to talk about expensive football boots. In fact, the most expensive regular release football boots you can buy are right here inside this box, and it is the Made in Japan Mizuno Morelia Neo 3 Beta, bearing a retail price of $320 US, but it's a football boot that is arguably worth every penny. Depending on your opinion, because there are definitely a lot of people out there that could never justify this amount of money for a single pair of boots, and that's kind of what I want to talk about in today's video. Why these might be worth it and why these might not be worth it for you specifically. We'll also go over this new Next Wave colorway and take a look at how the boots fit and feel on feet. So if you're interested in learning more, please stick around and watch the entire video. And if you're interested in a pair for yourself, you can check out the first link down below. That's going to take you to the review page on my website, where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes, where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal $320 retail price. As always, if you guys do end up enjoying the video and want to see more reviews from some of the smaller brands like Mizuno, don't forget to support this one with a like. And I've also noticed that a lot of you guys who watch my content aren't actually subscribed to the channel. If that's you, it would mean a lot to me if you could hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification so you get notified when the next new video goes live. Really quickly, I just want to go over this new Next Wave colorway, which I'll be totally honest with you guys, on the Neo 3 Beta, it's not my favorite. It's not that the white, blue, and red combination looks bad in any way at all, but when I look back at just the launch white colorway of this boot, I think those look a lot better, or at least a little bit sleeker in my opinion. Nonetheless, you have a white base to the upper, where you'll notice the leather at the front has a little bit more of almost like a creamy pearl look to it, versus the synthetic material that overlays the knit and textile is a little bit more of a pure white. So they don't match all that well, which is kind of an interesting thing for Mizuno to do. You have the Mizuno branding there, the Runbird logo in red and blue with a little bit of silver detail in there as well. The knitted aspect across the top of the foot in the tongue area, as well as along the back of the ankle, is a combination of red and blue, which almost gives it a little bit of a purple look, which is kind of interesting. You have those dark blue laces, which are still just really fuzzy, kind of unnecessarily cheap laces, or at least laces that are a little too old school for a boot like this, but Mizuno loves to use those. Your Morelia Neo branding there on the back of the heel, and then the sole plate I think looks quite good in a dark blue with red accents and white stud tips. As for the are they worth it conversation, if you heard $320 and said to yourself, I would never pay that much for a pair of football boots ever in my life, then these aren't for you. I don't think there's anything that I can tell you about these boots that would change your mind on that. And honestly, that is a totally fair perspective to have, because I think a lot of people look at football boots as a tool. You wear them not because of the upper material, not because of the way they feel, not because of the potential performance benefits. You wear football boots for the sake of traction underneath your feet, given the playing surface that you're going to be using them on. Everything else is kind of a matter of personal preference and not exactly necessity, if you want to call it that. You wear football boots for a purpose, and you can get the functionality of a pair of football boots from something that is much less expensive. With that said, not everyone is as logical when it comes to their football boot purchases, in which case the Morelia Neo 3 Beta might be worth it, depending on what you value in a pair of football boots. And as I've talked about so many times regarding the Made in Japan Mizuno product, it's just the best of the best when you're talking about quality of materials as well as overall build quality. Yes, you can get a good pair of football boots in the same style with a leather upper, with a knitted component, with a solid sole plate and stud pattern for about 200 bucks. But is it going to be to the same quality standard as this particular pair of football boots? The answer to that question is no. So that's really what's going to determine whether or not these are worth that extra money, is how much you value the craftsmanship and quality that goes into a pair of football boots like this. There's no doubt that this would be a product that is a want and not a need. And as far as the extra performance or extra comfort or extra anything that you're getting for the extra money that you're putting in for something like this, I think that it's a very small difference to the average person. But if you are like myself and a bit of a football boot nerd and you really like the particulars and the details of everything in terms of the construction of a pair of football boots, then I think you'll really appreciate the attention to detail that Mizuno puts into their MIJ products, especially the Neo 3 Beta. The kangaroo leather used through the forefoot and toe box area is nothing short of spectacular, and just like other made in Japan Mizuno products, it is the best of the best. Nobody even comes close in my opinion. Transitioning through the midfoot, you're going to find a textile base with a fuse overlay and then an elasticated knitted component filling in the top portion of the upper where the laces are positioned, giving it this one-piece construction and really the most seamless feel that we've ever got out of a pair of Morelia Neo football boots. This, of course, being their speed line for those that don't know. But I think what's interesting about the Neo at this point in time, given that they haven't really changed the original recipe since it was first introduced back in 2010, is still the incorporation of the leather at the toe box. So for a lot of people that enjoyed the leather days of the F50 Addy Zero, this would kind of be the modern interpretation. And if I'm being honest, when we're comparing this to some of the leather F50s that we got back in the day, this is just far superior in terms of overall quality. At the back, you're going to find a low-cut construction with a little bit of a tail made out of elasticated knit material. The heel liner is top-notch, as we've come to expect from Mizuno, being made out of this really soft suede material, plenty of extra padding, great lockdown, incredible comfort as well. The insole, that's fully removable. I'll give you guys a quick look at that. It's pretty standard as far as featuring a mesh liner on the surface. You have some perforations running through the midfoot, and then it's made from a single layer of white foam. That's actually a little bit thicker than what you'd find on most top-end speed boots. As for the sole plate and stud pattern, it's kind of a refinement of what Mizuno have been doing over the last 11 years with the Morelia Neo, in that it still has that nice solid feel through the heel and midfoot, but still remains decently flexible, giving the boot a much more natural sensation than a lot of speed boots out there that currently have more of a stiff sensation underfoot, which ultimately is more of a personal preference thing. And then again, something that's kind of unique in this category of football boots is the conical stud pattern that looks pretty traditional. You have 4 on either side of the forefoot, kind of an oval bladed support stud in the middle, 4 studs on the heel. But if you look in the forefoot, the studs are actually angled slightly outwards. And the logic behind that is that when you're running and changing direction, your foot is always hitting the ground at a slight angle, giving you maximum traction, or at least improved traction over the studs just being straight up and down. Whether or not that actually makes any kind of significant difference, it's really difficult to say, but despite the more traditional looks, I can say this much, it's more aggressive than you would expect it to be, but still provides that nice freedom to twist and pivot when your foot is planted. And then when it comes to weight, the boots are light, but nothing overly impressive. In a size 9.5 US, you can see that the boots weigh in at 7.4 ounces, the equivalent of 209 grams, which puts it in a very similar weight range to something like the current Mercurial Vapor and Superfly, like the current X-Ghosted models from the Addy brand. They're not as light as the Puma Ultra. That's still the reigning champ if you want that super lightweight feel from a pair of football boots, but in general, they still feel really light on your feet. And perhaps more importantly, they feel light with a level of comfort that you wouldn't necessarily expect from a pair of football boots in the speed category. So here they are on feet, where I must admit this colorway does look a little bit better when you're actually wearing the boots. And I also have them paired up with some white Pure Grip Socks Pro, which for those that don't know is my own brand of grip socks. This new Pro variation features an upgraded material that's super soft and super stretchy. Not to mention, they're extremely affordable and available now in either black or white for just $16.99 a pair. If you're interested in trying some for yourself, the website to go to is puregripsocks.com, which of course will be linked down below. Now, as far as fit and feel is concerned, when you're talking about boots in the speed category, it's really difficult for me to say that there is anything more comfortable than these. They just feel incredible on your feet. Great fit, great comfort, the leather through the toe box, the flexibility of the textile and knit through the midfoot. It just has a really nice feel to it. The heel liner is top notch. Mizuno tends to do a really good job when it comes to comfort, and these are no different. As far as width is concerned, they actually have some decent width to them, to the point where if you did even have slightly wider feet, you can probably get away with wearing these. If you have excessively wide feet, then maybe not the best option. I would say almost anything in the speed category is not great for super wide feet, but in general, the boots will fit most people very comfortably, and you will get that little bit of extra stretch through the toe box area because of the kangaroo leather as you break the boots in. And then as far as sizing is concerned, they run about a quarter size long. So I'm wearing these in my usual size 9.5 US, and they have just a smidge of extra space at the tip of the toe that I wouldn't normally have in other Mizuno products or just other football boots that run true to size in general. I wouldn't say that they are so long to the point where it's necessary to go half a size down, but if you're already wearing football boots and have that little bit of extra space, then maybe going half a size down wouldn't be the worst idea. If you're wearing your boots really snug at the moment, I would probably stay true to size. They're not going to stretch enough to where they're going to feel sloppy or anything like that. So it's really a matter of judgment on the sizing, but I think for most people, true to size is probably the way to go. So in conclusion, are these boots worth $320? And I think the answer to that question is yes, if you value the quality of material and craftsmanship that goes into a pair of football boots like this. And realistically, if we're talking about leather speed boots right now, this is the best of the best. Where I don't think they're necessarily worth it is when you do consider what your other options are in the speed category, where there are a lot of good ones. Most aren't obviously made out of leather, but then I look at something like the limited edition kangaroo leather Laser Touch Puma Ultra 1.2. That's a football boot that retails for $200 and is honestly just really good. And look, that boot is not going to provide the same experience as these ones. And if we're betting on durability, which is something that's really important to anybody that's spending a lot of money on a pair of football boots, I would bet on these outlasting the Puma Ultras, maybe 2 or 3 to 1. They are just extremely well made. But ultimately, when it comes to determining the worth of a product, it's very much down to the consumer. But if you're talking about value for money in terms of what you are actually getting for your money, I think the high price tags of Made in Japan Mizuno products are more justified than the high price tags of just about any other high-end football boot. Anyways, guys, that's it for my review. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to support it with a like. Again, if you're interested in a pair of these for yourself, first link down below, that's going to take you to the review page on my website where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal retail price. If you have any questions, as always, feel free to leave them down below in the comment section, and I'll do my best to get an answer out to you. If you're not subscribed to the channel already, make sure you hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification so you get notified when the next new video goes live. You can find all my social media information linked down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.